Would you like to play one of the most interesting, cool, and unique characters in Marvel Tōkon? Then look no further than Iron Man. And in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to play Tony, trying to go over his neutral, his offense and pressure, and also how to do combos with the character. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. It helps me a ton to grow the channel. And now let's go straight into the Iron Man guide. Okay, so the first thing we gotta talk about is how to play neutral with Iron Man. And I would say that layer 1 of the neutral with this character is a combination of your unique, your quarter circle forward light, and also anti-airing. You know, why all of this? Because at the end of the day, even though I don't consider Iron Man in this game like a traditional sonar, he does have really strong projectiles, and a lot of the time you're gonna see yourself kind of like in this range, right? In almost full screen, just doing unique into quarter circle forward light, and then maybe, for example, if the opponent blocks that, you can call an assist, and then you run behind it, right, to kind of like run your offense with a block string while they actually block the assist. That's kind of like the most basic stuff that you need to play Iron Man. And on top of that, why the anti-airs? Because if you're doing this all the time, right, if you're doing unique quarter circle forward light, spamming this sequence 24/7, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna answer to that by just calling their assists and then going crazy on your face, right? They're gonna air dash, try to essentially rush down, so you stop playing the zoning game. And in that context, you need to be able to anti-air consistently with your down heavy, or even with your DP medium or DP light. If you're getting, you know, kind of saucy, you can do that, but I would say that the most consistent anti-air in this game is your down heavy, and you can get very good combos, you know, from interactions like this. Then you just extend it with your assist or whatever, right? And later we're gonna talk about the more, you know, kind of like advanced stuff with this character, but you get the idea that you can do a lot of damage if you actually punish people for getting desperate and trying to jump in on you all the time because they don't want to deal with your zoning game. So that is the first layer of Iron Man's neutral, the mix of, you know, the unique, the quarter circle forward light, and all the anti-airs with down heavy, DP medium, DP light, and that kind of stuff. That is the basic neutral with this character that you need to understand to actually, I would say, get decent with Iron Man. Then we get to the second layer of the neutral, and here is where the character gets really interesting because Iron Man can actually cancel, for example, his unique or his quarter circle forward line, which is the stuff that you're going to be spamming a lot of the time, into flight, you know, by just pressing up while the attack is happening. And when you get access to the flight, you can do crazy stuff because, for example, let's say that the opponent actually doesn't get hit by your attacks, right? And they actually block the unique or they block the quarter circle forward light as well. You can actually cancel into your flight after and kind of like bluff your offense. So for example, you can do something like unique, quarter circle forward light, and if they're waiting, you just get a reset on your offense if they don't, you know, react fast enough to the fact that it is technically their turn, or just you can go back to neutral, right? And if you really want to make this more like real pressure in the neutral, you can be here, right? You do unique, quarter circle forward light, you call an assist, and you still cancel to the flight. It is still not necessarily like super safe for you because depending on when you call the assist, it could be much harder to deal with this. I would say that it is better if you call the assist not necessarily like, you know, as a part of you making the sequence of projectiles safe, but more like you do your projectiles. I would say maybe only the unique actually, instead of doing the cancel into quarter circle forward light. And then after you're already flying, you call an assist. And in that way, you can be kind of like in the air on a more safe kind of like situation in which they're not going to just anti-air you, right, while you're trying to fly. And then they block the assist and you get a cross-up interaction with your jump medium from the flight. And that is kind of like the second layer of Iron Man's neutral, just starting to use the flight to rush people down. And that's why I don't consider really Iron Man like a pure sonar. A lot of the time you want to go in when you have an opportunity, you know, when people block the unique, right, or they block another type of projectile, it is maybe better to actually do stuff like this than keep the zoning going. So that is the second layer of Iron Man's neutral. Start to integrate the flight cancels and how you can use that to actually rush down your opponent and mix them up with other assists that try, you know, make you or put you on a safe situation and you don't get just anti-air because you're on the flight on their face. And then the third layer is that you need to start using the missiles, okay? Instead of doing, for example, unique into quarter circle forward light, you can do unique into down light, and you throw your missiles, and then you can run behind the missiles, right? And you reset your pressure for free without even using an assist. This is a more, I would say, risky way of playing the neutral, but at the end of the day, if you have your opponent super conditioned and they are really afraid of the quarter circle forward light, because maybe they're gonna get hit by it, right? Or you already clipped them a ton of times with this, then you can start doing stuff like unique into missiles. And then, for example, when you run behind the missiles, you even call another assist, and it doesn't even use, you know, your assemble gauge because you're doing it in neutral. You're not actually canceling attacks into the assist, so it is technically free. And that's, I would say, the entire way in which you mix like the most important Iron Man options to play the neutral. You know, the mix with the layer 1, which is your unique quarter-cycle forward light, and your DPs or anti-airs. Then also the second layer, which is unique into flight, and then you start calling assist to make your mix, right, or run your rushdown style kind of like offense in the neutral. And then finally using the missiles to actually get like some set play or another style of zoning that is more connected to you going in than you actually keeping the zoning game. And that's kind of like the way in which I would play neutral with Iron Man most of the time. There are other things that you can do, but I would say they are not as common, or you're not going to do it as much as just the other options. And that would be maybe some like neutral skipping, because this character does have like a lariat style attack that is not that bad, like it has decent range. And you can, for example, call an assist and extend it, so it's not that bad at all. But most of the time, you're not going to see yourself playing Iron Man like a neutral skip style character, but it's good to have that in mind. You know, sometimes maybe the opponent doesn't expect you to do something like a quarter-cycle back light in the mid-range, and then you call an assist and you can active tag, and you can get whatever combos, right, which is not that bad at all. I would say that that is maybe another thing that you can consider to play neutral with Iron Man. And that is the entire package of the character, like the mix of the zoning, the flight cancels for pressure, and also your missiles kind of like for set play in the neutral to just run the screen with a ton of stuff the opponent has to deal with, and then your quarter-cycle back light to neutral skip, and your quarter-cycle back heavy as well if you want to get a more kind of like strong option, because this has more range and it can actually give you a full combo on hit. So yeah, that's kind of like the neutral with Iron Man. I don't know if there's anything else that I would add. I feel like this is pretty much the game plan that the character has and what you're gonna be doing a lot of the time. Oh, one last thing actually. One minus like maybe point that you can take into consideration is his dive kick, okay? When you're in the air, you can do quarter-cycle back medium and it gives you a dive kick. This is very minus on block though, so you're only gonna do this if you actually have an assist to kind of like make it safe. But I have actually kind of clipped people doing this attack because people don't expect you to just do a dive kick with Iron Man. It's not a part of his, you know, like a regular kit most of the time. So if you're feeling kind of crazy, you can try the dive kick in the air and maybe you're gonna clip somebody and get a full combo from it. I would say that it is kind of like the most unsafe thing that you can do with the character, but still have it in mind. So yeah, that's kind of like the entire game plan in neutral with the character and everything you can take into consideration to play Iron Man in neutral. Now we move into Iron Man's offense and also his mix-up. You know, how exactly do you run your block strings and how do you open people up on defense with this character? And I would say that the layer 1 of Iron Man's offense is doing, for example, stand medium, stand heavy into unique. And then here is where the mind games start, because there's a lot of options that you can do after unique that your opponent can deal with. They don't need to necessarily block what you're going to do after. So there's where you try to go crazy with your offensive options and sequences. So for example, the most basic one is just doing, you know, medium, heavy, unique, and then quarter-cycle forward light. You're trying to stop people from mashing or from jumping is the most basic thing. And if they get hit, you can call an assist and get a full combo after the beam ride, which is really good. Then the second layer of offense is that you actually do a flight cancel after the unique right away. You don't even do, like for example, multiple hits of the unique. You just do a stand medium, stand heavy, and then you press unique once, and instant flight cancel. And you can get like a reset on your offense with another jump in, which is really, really good. It's actually stronger than people think, I would say, because you can almost do like your jump in like right away, you know, after you cancel it. It's actually super fast, so people need to be super ready to kind of like stop you and anti-air you. You know, really good players will actually do it and they will down heavy that and you're gonna get clipped. But in the lower ranks, you can really, I would say, bluff your offense with this character and just constantly reset it with, you know, flight cancels and stuff of this sort. And then the other one that is even a bigger bluff that I do a lot, actually, maybe I should stop doing it, to be completely honest with you, is that I do actually stop, like for example, a block string into unique, and then I'll do the down input for the missiles. And this allows you to get a really strong reset because you're so plus after the missiles, right? And if people, for example, also try to do this, the universal backdash, which is assemble, bundle, light, and back, and you actually do the missiles, people get punished for doing it because they actually get on the delay of recovery from doing this and they get hit by the missiles and you can dash behind it and get a full combo. So it is kind of like a decent setup against people that are maybe mashing this. It's actually pretty decent specifically against that, but people can just also press a button, right? If you do your missiles, people can literally dash on your face and press a normal and you die. So that's why it is so risky to do this, because it is very low on startup, but it's still decent to have it in mind and as an option for the character. And then when you already start incorporating assists, right? If you do your block strings and you start calling assists, is where I would say things get more interesting, because you can do flight cancel pressure that is actually like relatively safe, right? You can do stuff like this, and you run like the cross up after with the active tag and things of that sort. That is kind of like the more advanced, I would say, pressure with the character. But most of the time, you will, I don't know how to say it, like most of the time you will see yourself just doing the quarter circle forward light. Because I feel like a lot of people panic against Iron Man on pressure. They don't know what to do against the missiles, against the flight cancels. So they actually, for example, mash a button while they're blocking, and they get clipped by the quarter circle forward light. So the first layer of pressure with this character, I would say, is actually really good if you're playing on the lower ranks, because a lot of people are just gonna mash and lose against it. So it's actually really, really good. So that is, I would say, overall the most kind of like basic layers of pressure with the character, and how to incorporate, you know, the flight cancels to reset your pressure, how to call assists in between to also extend it. For example, right, you run behind the assist after or something of that sort, and you can reset the pressure with another normal. And then finally, the other thing is incorporating cross-ups. Is something that I talk about with Captain America as well on my other guy, that you can do stuff like, for example, a relatively like short block string, like down light, you call an assist, and then you actually cross people up with an air dash. And with Iron Man, it's a bit harder, because his air dash is like a bit more, I would say, how can you say it? Slower than other characters. It's not crazy slow, but it's also not super fast, right? But you do have time to actually get across a medium if you're able to do like an air dash super up close after a slow block string, or sorry, a small block string. And that is something that you can incorporate into your offense. If you feel like people are not gonna be ready for it, you know, you can do stuff like this, and then they can cross up, and you active tag if they block it, then keep the pressure. Maybe you can bluff your offense with the other character that you have, or just keep it safe depending on what you want to do. And that is another thing that you can incorporate with Iron Man into your pressure, just understanding when to use the cross-up air dash from smaller block strings and what they can add into your offense. And that is, I would say, kind of like the way in which you open up people with this character and how you run your offense. The last thing you can incorporate is actually doing like anti-air baits, because a lot of people, at least in the higher ranks, they're gonna see you do stuff like this, right? And they're gonna down heavy when you're on your flight mode, trying to reset your pressure. And what you can do is that you actually do, for example, stand medium, stand heavy into unique, and then you flight cancel into unique again. And that is like a good bait against people that are spamming like the down heavy to anti-air you while you try to reset your offense. And in that way, you actually get a hit from this. Then you can hit them with the beam, because when you hit somebody with a unique, you can actually hit them with the beam since they get like sucked into the attack. And then after you hit them, you know, with the unique in the air and the beam, you can even call an assist and extend the entire combo. So it's not that bad at all. I would say that it is better than people think, and that is a more advanced layer of offense that you can incorporate for the character, just trying to kind of like bait the anti-air, so with another unique after the flight cancel in the air. And yeah, I would say that is the way, or the things that you need to understand with Iron Man to run his offense, block strings, how to open people up on defense, and what exactly you can do to actually, you know, get your damage going and stop people from mashing, and also trying to open them up with real mix-ups like the cross-up ride, cross-up medium, and also your flight cancels into cross-up with your stand medium as well, or sorry, your jump medium in the air, you know, trying to obviously make it safe with an assist so that you don't get clipped with an anti-air and stuff of that sort. That is the offense, the mix-ups, and the block strings that you need to run with Iron Man. Okay, so now let's actually move and talk about Oki, or what do you do on your offense when people are waking up after a throw or a combo that you did, and how you can get another turn and actually maybe another full combo if they actually mash on wake up or stuff like that. So with Iron Man, I would say that the rule number one is that most of the time, like with any other character in the game, to be completely honest, if you don't have the meter to actually kill your opponent to get the entire round, that you need to end your combo with the combo limit. A lot of people are just doing heavy auto combo to get that more consistently, and this allows you to run your missile Oki. You know, if you actually run the combo limit and you get the extra plus frames from it, you can run your down light or down heavy as the Oki, and it is a real Oki setup that is actually, you know, not something that people can mash. There I actually did a jab before the missile, so it whiffed, but if I do it again right, you're gonna see that you can do even the meterless version with the light, and it works right there. So I would say that most of the time, if you want to get kind of like the best offense possible with Iron Man, you need to run the combo limit and then do your missile Oki setup. You don't need, you know, you don't need to actually end all the combos with the heavy auto combo. You can get the combo limit manually, But the thing is that if you get the end of the combo with this, you know, like sequence, it tends to be a bit more consistent, and that's why a lot of pro players are doing it. It's just kind of like more safe and a bit easier to get consistent Oki if you do stuff like this. So I would say that if you can end it with the heavy auto combo and it doesn't make your combo significantly worse, then do it. And then you run your missile Oki with a backdash and your down light or down heavy. Now, really important that if you really want to get that Oki with the combo limit, you need to backdash, okay? If you do the combo limit and then you do the missiles right away, it actually doesn't work because it is way too early and people can just roll through you and they don't get hit by the missiles. So if you really want to get the most out of the Oki with Iron Man, you need to do that backdash into light missiles or heavy missiles. And in that way, you can get a full kind of like frame trap with the missiles, right? If people mash, they're gonna get hit for free. And then you can get a full combo on whatever thing you want to do. Like over here, I'm just doing examples of what it is that you could do. It's kind of like something that you can modify depending on the resources that you have and the combos that you know, because Iron Man has a lot of different combo routes that we're going to talk about later, but you can get like a lot of reward essentially for running the missile Oki if you execute it correctly. So get, you know, all of that to practice mode, try to understand how to use the combo limit and how to actually do backdash into down light or backdash into down heavy and run your Oki with the character. It is really important to understand also that, like, if you don't get the combo limit, if you actually, let's say, do a combo right, whatever combo, and you don't get the max combo limit, the missiles are not an option anymore for Oki, okay? If you actually do something like this, right, it is not an option to do the missiles there because you don't have enough plus frames to run your Oki. So if you get a combo that doesn't get the combo limit, or for example, you get a throw and people wake up, you just have to run the regular offense with, for example, stand medium, stand heavy, crouch medium when they actually wake up. You cannot do your missiles. It is not an option anymore. In here is different because you get more plus frames on people getting hit by the wall, and that is a very specific condition. That's why you get enough time to actually do the missiles after a throw here, but still, it's the only condition that actually works without the combo limit. So that is, I would say, the Oki that you need to run with Iron Man if you want to get the most out of the missiles and your pressure. And if you feel unsafe, if you feel like you're not going to be able to actually get the missiles, you know, and stuff like that on time, then just wait a little bit and run a basic string to make the Oki safer, and just run a couple of normals, right, and stuff of that sort, so you don't get maybe clipped by somebody mashing and stuff like that if you actually feel like you're going to do the missiles wrong. So first, go to training mode, you know, understand how to do the backdash missiles consistently, and then run the Oki in actual matches and stuff like that. So that is, I would say, the Oki setups and the kind of like more offensive wake up that you need to understand with Iron Man. Now we get into the last part of the video, which is how to do combos with this character. And I would say that at first you really need to simplify the combos with Iron Man because they can get crazy. So the first two basic bread and butters that you need to learn, number one is just doing, for example, stand medium into stand heavy, and then unique and quarters to go forward light, okay? Because this allows you to get very basic kind of like combo routes that also are confirmable into just a regular assist. And then you can, you know, run behind the assist and extend the combo for free. If you have a wall, you do quarters to go back light to actually get it and stuff of that sort. So that is the most basic strain that you need to get down in your combos to actually, you know, do some damage. Just a couple of normals into your beams, right? And then you extend it by running behind the assist. And after you do whatever you want, you can literally do something very similar and then just spam the assist, and you can do a ton of damage if you keep the combo super simple. So that is the first layer of the combos with Iron Man. Then the second one is doing regular combos in the air, like for example, stand medium or crouch medium as your starter, and then you just do the other medium button into stand heavy, and then you jump and do medium, heavy, jump, medium, heavy, heavy, call an assist, right? If you want the wall or the transition, you do a normal into quarters to go back light in the air, and that's it. Like very, very basic, and you extend it after in whatever way it makes sense for you, depending on your assists and things of that sort. Then the second layer of combos, if you want to get more advanced with Iron Man, is just trying to apply fly cancels and also EX moves, essentially, like using your flight mid combo, and also using EX moves like your quarters to go back heavy in the air charge, which is your dive kick ride, also your EX beam in the ground, and stuff of that sort. So the first one can just be an extension in the air with a flight cancel. You can do, for example, like whatever combo in the ground, and then you do jump heavy or jump medium into unique, and then quarter second forward lights, and then you just flight cancel into medium, and in that way you get a full combo with the fly cancel. It's not as hard as it seems. You just need to get, you know, the fly cancels down over time in training mode to actually understand like the mechanics of how to cancel it and also how to extend it on a consistent way and not drop the combo after the fly cancel. So when you do in the air the unique into quarter circle forward light, you can just keep like the buttons for up and forward press, and the character is going to fly cancel like in the fastest way possible after the beam ends. So that is kind of like one of the most consistent ways of getting the fly cancel without dropping the combo. And you can literally just do, you see the animation of the fly cancels right after the beam, and you actually just press a button right away. Like it is very, very fast, and you get the extension with the combo. It's not as hard as it seems, but you need to get in training mode and practice it so you don't drop it. So that is one form of extending the combos. The other one is that you can also do your unique in the air like only once. You don't need to press it multiple times into your quarter circle bag medium, which is your dive kick without actual meter. And this allows you to get some combos that are relatively good, like from corner to corner in terms of corner carry. If you have an assist to extend it, it does good damage, and it is actually a very consistent way to get like better combos without doing fly cancels. So you can get like an easier experience with the combo extensions if you do something like this instead of doing fly cancels all the time, right? And there, an example of the combo, I used one EX mode, I think, and then a super, and it did like 55%, so it's pretty good. That's another way of extending combos. Just instead of doing fly cancel, you do button, unique, and then immediate quarter circle bag medium dive kick into an assist. You can technically keep this combo by yourself like meterless, because you can do like a cancel after the dive kick, right? But I would say that that is not something you need to do at the start, and it's not necessary at all, because most of the time you are gonna have resources to like call an assist and extend this and make it easier, essentially, right? So you really don't need to get crazy with the dive kick like jump cancels after and stuff like that. It is not necessary, and it also doesn't add much into your combo routes in terms of damage or practicality. It is almost like a flex to do that. So do not worry about that. I can maybe do a video for that later that is more advanced, but it is not necessary at all at the start. And then the next thing that you gotta understand, I would say, to keep your combos with Iron Man like better and also consistent, is that when you're in the corner, you can do the charge version of your normals in the air. This character has like charge version of his heavy attack. So for example, you can do like stand heavy, or you can do a forward heavy and keep it pressed, and it does like a multi-hit button. The same thing in the air. You can be in the air, right, and you do forward heavy, or you actually keep the forward heavy press, and he does a multi-hit attack with the beam at the end. And when you do the multi-hit like charge heavy attacks, they actually give you different extensions. Like for example, if I do a combo in the corner from the ground, right, I do like stand medium, down medium, heavy, and then down heavy to get more hits done in the combo. Then after the down heavy, I can jump and do the forward charge heavy in the air, and it allows me to do an EX dive kick, which I wouldn't do with another sequence of normals. And in that way, I can keep the combo going, because after EX dive kick, Iron Man can combo by himself. He doesn't need to call an assist or anything like that, and it can do a lot of damage, right? So that is the one thing that you also need to understand about this character, that you can extend your combos in the corner with the forward heavy charge version of your normal into EX dive kick, or also even with, what is it called? With actually the same thing, but with down and forward, which is this attack that he does, right? And this also allows you to do like the same thing with a different type of normal, but you do it after a couple of normals in the air instead of doing it right away after your jump. So that's kind of like the logic of how you extend combos into EX dive kick with charged normals with this character. Then another thing that you can do, especially when you're close to the wall, is that you can do, for example, your sequence, the first one that I talk about, like you do a stand medium, stand heavy into unique, and then quarter circle forward light. But instead of this, you do the EX version, you do quarter circle forward heavy, and this has a lot of hits done, so it allows you to fly cancel and then get like re-jump combos. If you actually have, you know, the technical kind of like ability to do that on training mode, you get it down, it's not that hard, and then after some time you're gonna be able to do it, right? And you do this, you fly cancel into forward heavy, and then you wait until you're in the ground and you press down heavy, because forward heavy has a lot of hits done, so it allows you to get to the ground again and get the re-jump, you know, of the combo with stuff like this. And then you do whatever you want in the air, right? Whatever is comfortable for you. You extend the combo, and you know, I dropped it there actually because I didn't do the right sequence, but you get the idea. That's another way of extending combos with this character if you're close to the corner, just doing the EX version of the chest beam and then doing a sequence of re-jump attacks like forward heavy in the air and then down heavy in the ground to keep the combo going. You can do this almost mid-screen, by the way, but it is harder because you need to get the flight until its limit before it actually goes off, but you can still do the same combo, you know, with stuff like this, because the EX beam that he does actually has a lot of hit stun, like you have a lot of time to extend the combo. So it is something that you can consider, and you can do really good damage with stuff like this. It is actually really, really strong, and it has, of course, a lot of corner carry since it allows you to do the flight after the EX beam, and you get all that time, you know, to get the forward heavy in the air and extend it in whatever way you want. There I did like EXDP instead, for example. It is another thing that you can do to extend combos, but you get the idea of how you can use the EX chest beam, which is quarters to go forward heavy, to actually do combos with flight cancels as well. And then finally, let's actually talk about also the EXDP. It is a really good combo tool. It's super consistent actually, and you can even do it in the air. Like for example, you can do your regular combo in the ground, right? You go into the air, and then you do heavy into EXDP, and then you fly a little bit, and you do the charge version of your down and forward attack with heavy, which is this attack that he does, right? And you do it after the flight cancel from the EXDP, which is actually not that hard to do. You just need to delay like the button a little bit, and then you do EX dive kick, and you keep the combo going on whatever way you want. That's another way in which you can extend combos with this character, but I would say that it is maybe harder than other of the examples, even if I already have it down because I've been playing Iron Man a lot. Like, this is arguably harder to do than other of the combos I've been showing, so it is something that you need to take into consideration, and you don't need to always do this combo. Like, it is not necessary at all, right? You can do other combo routes and still do a ton of damage. So don't get stressed if you cannot get like all of these different specific extensions down like at the start. You, I would say, need to choose like one or two ways of extending the combos and then just try to stick with that. And over time, you can incorporate more of this because you can essentially add one into the other to get crazier combos, right? Like for example, I can do something like this, right, at the start. Then I do this. Then I do the X dive kick in the air. Like, you can essentially like do connections of all the styles of combos that I've been showing into one another. And then you do your super at the end or whatever, right? So you can mix all the sequences of different EX moves and combinations of combos into one to do more damage over time, but just take it slow, because I would say that Iron Man has some of the more like technical combos when it comes at least to more advanced combo routes. So you need to not, you know, get super stressed with the combos at the start, since it is not necessarily the most important thing to play the, you know, character well or on a relatively advanced level. So yeah, that is the Iron Man guide. That is the way in which you play this character, how you do play the neutral, right? How you run your offense, your Oki, and how to do combos, or what is the combo theory of the character, so you can build your own combos with him, right, over time. Thank you for watching. I hope that it was useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the Marvel Tōkon content. I'm going to try to keep making, you know, more character guides, especially with characters that don't have that much info like Iron Man, you know, on YouTube and online. And thank you again for watching. See you on the next one. Take care.